Here we go. Okay. Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to Smudcast 419 Trope Talk Fringing Part 2. In case you weren't here yesterday, we're doing the video that came out this month, from Overly Sarcastic Productions on the trope of being put into a fridge because you are a woman, which causes emotional trauma to the main character, who may in fact be the lover of said woman. So that's the whole trope. Red doesn't like the trope. She thinks it's a bad trope because a woman dies, and women dying is bad, and we don't know why exactly. Or at least the reasons she gave us weren't very good.
Because she is a woman.
I don't know. I don't know what the big fascination is with women all of a sudden in stories.
I still think the main problem is just that the woman's not a main character.
But she is, though, in Infinity War, right? She's one of the main characters.
Yeah. Some of the ones she brought up doesn't really fit what she brought up as the definition in the beginning.
Yeah.
Where they're not characterized at all.
Because they have lots of development. They have lots of scenes. We know her character throughout multiple movies, even Gamora. Mm-hmm. So not only Gamora, but also Natasha. They all have wonderful stories, and then they die, and their death is meaningful, and we understand why they have to die. It all makes sense, but that's bad because we don't know. So, damn.
Oh, so Gamora's alive again.
Well, yeah, everyone sort of comes back after the fact, but that's in the next movie. So, the joys of these wonderful Marvel movies, playing with your heartstrings and then bringing them all back because comic book logic. But that's why you watch these movies. They're great. They're amazing. They're fun. So anyway, she doesn't like the Marvel films. I'm not a huge fan of them myself. I haven't watched them all. Probably haven't even watched half of them. But people love this stuff for a good reason. They're big blockbuster things. They're well put together. And they are successful because their stories are passable enough to be fun to watch and not to make you go, ugh. Or this is
really easy to get into like those MCU movies. Like, yeah. You don't really need to like watch all of them. You can just like select like a specific like franchise, like the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, for example. Like I had like never watched any of those Thor movies, and I was just fine just watching the Guardians movies.
The Guardians movies,
maybe Iron Man 2.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they all work as standalone movies.
Yeah, they're entertaining enough. I watched both the Guardians movies. Those were fun to watch. Everyone else says you got to go watch Civil War and Winter Soldier, I think.
No.
Is it Winter Soldier the only one that's really recommended out of all of them?
It used to be like the most recommended, and Civil War, but you don't really need to see them.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's what I've been told. I'll eventually watch it. I don't care. It's not my thing to do in the evenings. I got other stuff that occupies my time.
Just watch Iron Man 1.
I did watch Iron Man 1. It's good.
Yeah.
Iron Man 1 is still like the best of them, like from the standalone movies.
Well, and then you're going to have to watch all the Raimi films. It's going to be continuity, dude.
Oh, boy. All right, we are at 9 minutes and 33 seconds. We're almost there, halfway. So,
are we?
Almost halfway, yeah. So.
Oh wow, okay, cool.
Yeah,
and the last few minutes is probably just an advertisement.
That's a good point. Yeah, we should. Yeah, so we are technically probably halfway through the content of the topic. So, anyway, let's get going.
Story, and they exist to further a narrative, and some of them are just props in other characters' lives, and that's not a morally bad thing. But the story probably shouldn't make you think that. Sure, we, the audience, may be able to guess that the hero's small, peaceful town and stern but fair father figure just exists to get torched by the Dark Lord in episode 1 to set up the inciting incident and set them on the hero's journey, but the hero doesn't know that, and that's what's supposed to be important about this. To the hero, that's their whole world. Torching that town and icing that father figure off-screen just tells the audience that the hero might theoretically care, but we don't have to, and the story won't really convince you that the hero does care.
What? Wait, no.
What?
That the hero does care. They react emotionally, socially, physically. Everything about that is their world, as you stated. It's not. It's not fake. The only thing that could be perceived as fake is the acting and the performance of how that works out on the screen. If you're talking about a movie, that we go, okay, this actor could have, emoted a bit better to sell us.
Pretty much the only reason the hero would react is because they care.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure there's not suspension of disbelief from the point of view of the main character.
Yeah, remember when Luke loses his aunt and uncle, and he looks out into the horizon?
He's like, "Oh, this is just a movie, guys."
Yeah,
okay,
they're
not really burning.
That whole philosophical moment where he looks into the horizon after that is like that's one of the most memorable scenes of episode 4.
This is such a nice set.
Yeah.
Then she was saying it was bad or something.
He's not really feeling sad about the death of his supposed family. It's like, what do you... Really?
That's what he was expecting. That's what he was expecting, though. It's not like he was going there and hoping that they were all right. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And Cash, remember when Ed and Al learned an entire science to bring back their mother because they cared so much about the fact that she died?
They were like, "Mom isn't dead. It's just ashes."
We're just having a fun experiment. We may get our mom back. We might not. Who cares? It's a bonus. We don't know.
They weren't really that invested.
Yeah. Al losing his life.
They didn't burn down their old home as a like promise that they weren't going to return until they were done with what they were doing. Getting their bodies back. Yeah,
Al losing his body and living in a giant suit of armor. Yeah, it was that was touched they knew they were going to do that.
So
it's a backstory to the Wizard of Oz.
Look right at the
how
camera,
it feels to even feel touched of another human being for over the course of like 2 or 3 years that he's basically a robot.
Thanks for that great meta commentary on storytelling there, Red. That was amazing. Okay. We're good. First 30 seconds, we're good.
It disconnects us from someone we're supposed to be and it undercuts the emotional impact of the death when the emotional impact of the death is the only thing this trope has. Now, if the father figure had been with us for, say, 2 seasons or the first act or 2 of a movie, serving as a mentor figure for instance, we would expect him to die with some fanfare, and we'd be weirded out and upset if he didn't. A heroic sacrifice, a dying monologue, an admission that the hero made him a better man and so very proud, several references to him after he dies.
Wait. So you just want another, at this point, quite annoying rundown trope instead of the one you're complaining about?
Well, I don't know. She said that the losing the whole farmland or losing the village you come from is the same as losing the woman you care about. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. You can make that association. But now she's saying, oh, but here's an established character. That's better. It's like, wait, stop again. You just talked about how that's bad in the Marvel films. What is happening?
Not even in the Marvel films. It's just bad in general.
Yeah, but
lazy.
The difference is the established characters in the Marvel films were women. Here she's talking about the father, who's not a woman.
I don't see the difference.
So that's it. That's the established characters that have to die to make this work have to be men.
Yay.
I refer you all to Jensen from Iron Man 1.
Who?
The creator
wasn't
guy.
his name Mark?
What?
Also, I refer to Grell from Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn or Path of Radiance. One of those 2 games. You're with him for like 4 to 5 chapters. It's a pretty long time, actually. And then he dies fighting the Black Knight.
That happens in all kinds of RPGs. I can remember Suikoden, Gremio, the guy who's pretty much part of your family. He's like your adopted brother. And
Crisis Core, where it happens to literally the guy you play as.
Yeah. This is pretty common.
Oh, that happens in another Fire Emblem game, too. Genealogy of the Holy War, the first character you play as is burned to death by the primary antagonist after his runtime, and you play as his son for another part of the game.
Yeah, this is pretty common in video games, stories in general, movies, books, you name it. So people get aroused, they get angry, they go, oh my God, I lost my dad, I lost my brother, I lost my friend. And they,
I guess we're just not allowed to have background characters that are somewhat important to the main characters die.
Yeah, tragedy, you just don't do tragedy, guys. You can't have death and tragedy. It doesn't work anymore.
I'm lost at what she's even complaining about. She just seems to be complaining about everything.
Yeah, like look at Batman. He lost his parents. Like we don't know who they were at that point in the story. They just happened to die. And you're like, oh wow, who were they? They were rich, helpful people in the city.
Or what about Superman? His entire planet gets blown up.
Like she's just, you know, this type of girlfriend or wife that constantly has this voice that makes it sound like you are the fault of everything, even that the sun is shining and it's a nice day. Who talks like that 24/7? She has no other voice. It's always like this, and even when the bread tastes good, or the trash hasn't been brought out, she always talks like everything's your fault. And Red does the same thing, but instead of with nagging, she does it with condescension.
But she's punching the trope, which doesn't make any sense because it's so ubiquitous. You could use it so many places with death.
Yeah, we're not even agreeing that this trope is a real thing.
Well, the specific one, fridging, yeah.
I mean, I'd agree that
which she isn't even talking about anymore.
No, you're right.
The idea behind it, that it's negative at all, is just ridiculous.
Yeah. Tragedy is real. Tragedy and death go hand in hand and have been doing that for the longest time in human history, especially with plays and operettas and all kinds of tragic stories. So why...
And the easiest way to make sure a hero crosses the threshold is by motivating them through tragedy.
And everyone can relate to, oh, someone died, revenge, better life for the future, finding out why this happened. All kinds of emotions can arise from that. So
I imagine even if it wasn't tragedy that motivated them, they would eventually stumble upon some sort of tragedy, right?
Well, tragedy, everyone can easily, because it's a negative emotion, and it's something that was done to a person which was uncalled for. So some usurper, some power monger comes by, destroys a village. Like, that's not nice. That's not fair. And yet you see this hero emerge from that world and become stronger as a result. That's what we want to see. We don't want to see some Luke Skywalker go, oh, well, I guess I'll join the Empire now.
People don't want to follow heroes who don't really face any challenges, don't go through anything that motivates them.
Yeah, like, we want to care about what they care about. And
like nobody would want to go through like anything that Guts has gone through in his life, but Berserk is popular for a reason. And part of that is because of how bad the stuff he went through was.
Yeah, let's imagine that Luke was so self-centered, all he wanted to do is be the best pilot in the galaxy. And, you know, he's really aggressive with Han talking about piloting the ship. He could do, I'm the best, blah, 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 I'm the best. And then he sees his aunt and uncle die, and he's like, good, and now I could fly. It's like, holy crap, dude. Like, have some humanity. I know you love flying, but they're your family. Like, that would really sour the audience going, who the...
Yeah, it'll make a character really unlikable if they acted like that.
Right. We want to humanize the fictional dude on the screen to be...
Not that you couldn't start off a story with a character who's a bit like that, but you'd want to see them grow beyond it.
That's the great thing with Luke, is he has all these dreams. He wants to get out of there, and now he can, but it's at the cost of killing off his loved ones. Which is
this horrible character you just described, this hypothetical horrible character you just described. I don't know why, but it made me think of Captain Marvel.
No.
The character that's a bit like that is the I think his name was Ted from I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream.
Oh yeah.
He's a bit like that, but over the course of the story, he grows, and in the book version or the short story, he's the one who sacrifices himself and becomes the no mouth creature at the end.
That's a very one of Harlan Ellison's very well known stories that magically got turned into a video game for some reason. But yeah, everyone should go check that out. Yeah, that's actually a very interesting story.
A game.
They made it into a game in the 80s.
It's a point and click adventure game.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Amazing stuff.
Ellison worked on it. He actually voices Sam in it.
Yeah. Good stuff. Anyway, here's Gay.
He does a damn good job as Sam too.
Here is Gay Mysterio or Gay My Stereo. I'm not too sure which one. It's only fridging when it's women who die to motivate the plot. It's A-okay when it's one of the lads who dies. All this shit came from a Green Lantern comic book no one remembers, Clown World. Like, yeah, okay.
I literally mentioned it back in yesterday's stream. It all came from Kyle Rayner's girlfriend.
Yeah. That's bad.
Mentioned that, yeah.
Women dying is bad.
And it's bad on top of that, yeah.
It's a bad story.
Also, it's coming from Gail Simone, so like, we gotta take seriously her world.
To the point where the only other mention it's gotten in actual canon, to my recollection, was the one moment in Infinite Crisis where they mention all like the continuity stuff that happened since Crisis on Infinite Earths. Like the death of Jason Todd, the death of Superman, Kyle Rayner's girlfriend getting stuffed in the ridge, all that.
The great thing about that game, if you ever saw it, I was a kid at the time, whenever you saw it at the store, they actually made the box like to pop out with that face. So it's a really crazy looking box. You're like, what the frick? They put a lot of effort into that box art. So
you don't have a picture of it, do you?
Google the game. It's you'll see the box art. It's crazy.
I'll have to. That sounds kind of cool.
It freaks you out. There's lots of great. Oh, the 80s and 90s were amazing for computer games for box arts.
Mm-hmm.
They're so cool.
Yeah, and you're missing out today because everything's digital.
Yeah,
I mean it.
And the anti-piracy back then was like a fucking code wheel that you had to put in every time.
Not every game did that. But
some of them did.
Yeah, some others said here type the second word of the third paragraph on page 67 of the manual.
I remember that
great when I don't remember what game that was. It was something in a spaceship where you were wandering around, adventure thing with lots of deaths, and we had the original, we had the manual, but the code never worked. As it turned out, the code expected the English manual, not the translated German one.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, yeah, that was a fuck up.
That sucks.
All right.
Yeah.
That's stupid.
And I thought those things were printed out like unique versions for each copy of the game. Wasn't that supposed to be copyright protection?
Yes.
They tried different things about copyright protection back in the day.
Never forget the code wheel.
That was at least fun. But what actually helped, again, for copyright protection was having interesting stuff in the box. Like, for some games, and that went up to the 2000s, some games had very elaborate manuals in them, with lots of backstory of the world, of the where the game set in, and about characters. Or I remember the manual for Syndicate was absolutely in depth about all the weapons and then all the places in there.
Oh, Syndicate was
like
great.
A little book.
Yeah, a lot of older RPGs had that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it was like I don't know, 100 pages, and it had this Ghost in the Shell feel, although it was much drier than that, because it was just the limitations of the technology. And then on the other, then you had my other two favorite examples for this are Lands of Lore, which had a lot of this stuff in a lot of background information in the manual. The old Blizzard games, Diablo 2, StarCraft 1, they had a lot of this stuff as well. Lots of backstory in them.
I always like when the game manuals tried to like make it feel like it was a material from the game or something.
Yeah, it's like the one for Baldur's Gate 2 was a really thick book, like A6 in size, but like I don't know, 200 pages or something, and it had and the manual had commentary in it by Elminster and I don't remember the name of the other guy, and they were giving commentary back and forth, like they were in a they were giving this manuscript back and forth as if analyzing it and making commentary on spells and how useful they are and other things. That was just fun to read as well. And my absolute favorite was the one for Homeworld, the first Homeworld game. It was also super thick, and it had the whole backstory of the game inside, as far as it was written back then. Before I even played the game, I sat down for 2 days just to read the manual because it was so engaging. And now, new game, buy on Steam, click, install, click, play.
Yes, marketing in boxes are very important back in the day. Okay. Anyway, let's try and get back on track with Red here. And God, what the hell was she talking about? The death of established characters. Like, yeah, it's bad. Okay.
Give a fanfare.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
You need to have a send-off.
Boromir gave his own.
Every character that dies needs an elongated funeral scene.
Yeah, but Boromir had like an arc because like he was about to betray I forgot
Strider.
But like Frodo, and then he sacrificed himself for the good. So like he had like an arc, but like if we expect that every single character is going to have their own fanfare and 10 minutes of the screen time just mourning them, it's gonna be a really fucking boring movie.
Yeah.
Watch.
Yeah, we rather make comedy skits out of that.
Yes.
Well, soap operas work like that. Red, do you want everything to be a soap opera?
Well, she's a woman, so yeah.
Oh. Anyway. That's good.
If we didn't get that kind of thing, we'd feel cheated. But just because we, the audience, haven't seen the Chapter 1 dead dad for very long, the author feels comfortable just torching the place off-screen after a single expository line of dialogue and then expects us to feel for the hero when the story hasn't made this death feel meaningful. In this structure, the amount of weight a character death is given is not proportionate to how important the character is, it's proportional to how much screen time the character was given, which has nothing to do with how the characters should be reacting to this loss. Fridging is
No, I think there was sufficient screen time for, like, Luke and Aunt Beru, and it was just enough. It's like, okay, this is where he lives. He's frustrated, yada yada. They have their own plans. They're conflicted together. He has to go do a task. He comes back, and they're gone. They're dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think like Luke spends an entire minute of that scene just like searching for them. That like because he has to go back to that place.
Yeah,
then like, he finds that like the entire place is burned and there are corpses everywhere.
It's like
and he just stands because he's so in shock.
We understand he has a family. It's established they have their own lifestyle and their own desires and they're in conflict. And it's like, how much more screen time do they need? Like, what is the threshold to say? Yeah, I don't get this reasoning. It's like if it was like he has an aunt and uncle, then we just see a bunch of skeletons. That's like kind of okay. What was that about? Who are these people? Yeah. Like we need to see something.
The fact that Luke, even though like Obi-Wan offers him the adventure that he craves for so much, we see him that like he's really fucking bored of all this farm life. But like he still sticks with his uncle and to because like they asked him to like stay there for the farming season, and like that's like enough to know that like he loves them, so he doesn't want to give up on them. but once he sees it, like they are gone, that of course it goes on the adventure. But like, my problem is that like she already made a video about character deaths, so why is she talking about those things here again as a fridging?
And again, she acts like these things really do just happen out of nowhere. Like this character just is introduced dying, but most of the time we do usually get a little bit of information on them.
So she's trying to say that some character deaths have caveats that reduce how tragic, unpleasant they are. I don't know what she means by reduce how tragic. They are tragic because we know the characters, and therefore it's sad to see them die. It's like, oh, the nice mother just died for no reason. Like, oh my god. Fridging never does. What do you mean by fridging? Isn't that the same thing if you don't have an established character? They just happen to be a female? It's like a woman died. It's like, oh, that's sad. What does it mean? I don't know. Oh, they were the lover or the wife or the sister or the daughter. It's like, oh, okay. That's even worse. Now we know.
It just feels like she's changing the definition again, because this makes it seem like it has to happen off screen for it to be fridging, but she's complained about people who've died on screen and done all of this stuff.
Who are established, exactly. So I don't know what definition she's working with here. Since we just talked about it prior to just having a guy who is a teacher who dies.
Oh, and then how much screen time too?
Yeah, like even with John Wick, it's like first 10 minutes are just the plot. You're like, oh, his wife was sick, she died, she had a dog or got a dog. Dog represents her wish for John to have a life and love and da-da-da. And then the dog dies, and then John goes, oh, that's it. Now it's time to kill. Time to go back.
So I guess by this definition, Harry Potter's parents wouldn't have been fridged because sacrificing yourself makes you not fridged.
There was no backstory or flashbacks weren't long
Even though
enough.
we literally don't see them like at all
Yeah.
the entire story.
Yeah, just minor flashbacks when Harry was a kid and they're holding him. Yeah, it's like what?
I don't know why Red made this video. I really don't.
I want some more examples because she's attacking this straw man, and we're like, where are we going here?
It seems like the more examples she gives, the muddier.
Yeah, I want to understand the train of thought.
We have so many examples that she doesn't even have to have theoreticals. She can use examples directly from movies, which she could think are bad, and say, look at that. Look at this guy. Look at Luke. It's a bad scene.
Right.
Like, oh.
Can you expand on that?
Yeah, that'd be great because there's so many examples. So all she's got that comic book. Oh, the comic book, woman in a fridge. Okay.
The movies. This thing happened to this thing. Okay. And what do you mean? Like what?
The problem.
You know what character unironically really fit her definition of fridging is Joel's death in The Last of Us 2.
We don't talk about that.
Literally just purely for shock value and mostly done off screen.
It's a guy, so it's okay.
Damn it, I was gonna say that.
Yeah, exactly, guy. So we don't have to care about
that. Is about 4 to 5 times worse than fridging because it's drawn out. The person who's trying to save is watching him get pummeled, and she's incapacitated. It's like, oh my god, this is torture. So it's like watching Green Lantern character. Yeah, if Green Lantern was watching,
gives her motivation.
Well, yeah, no, it's even worse.
When she started, she was wearing a jacket. When Ellie gets there, she has that jacket off, and she's really sweaty.
Yeah, she's been pummeling him.
She's been hitting him for a long time.
And you know how strong she is, so holy crap, what the hell is she doing, and how long was she doing it? So, yeah, crazy.
I would be interested to see Red's review on Last of Us 2.
Yeah, it'd be one thing if she just enacted revenge like clean, like it's your time to die, boom, you're dead, and that'd be fine. Oh, okay, she's not a psycho. She's not some weird retard who has to like whack someone to death with a piece of metal. No, she'd pull the gun out, blow his head off. Like, that's it. We're done. Let's go home.
Yeah, it feels like people just don't seem to get when a character does something that characterizes them.
No kidding. Yeah. I'm not going to kill you. I'm going to brutalize you. I'm going to rearrange your organs. It's like, what?
Yeah,
Why?
If you have need for sadistic revenge and torture, then you're not looking for justice. You're looking for something worse, something warped.
Right. And that's what I did not grasp from the character of Abby. Why she became that way, how she got to that point. All we know is that she cared about her dad.
She's just an asshole.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that you suddenly become a psycho and you take delight in tearing a person's body up with a piece of metal. It doesn't make too much sense.
The implication would be that she always was a psycho. It only got out there.
I don't know. The relationship with Owen makes no sense. Owen is such a nice guy, and then I don't know what the hell he does to like her, or what she was.
I know it's all inconsistent because these people don't actually that wrote this don't actually know how humans work.
Yeah, I know.
Neil Druckmann doesn't know how humans really work because he's a bloody narcissist and probably a psycho.
And how
Red doesn't understand how humans works because she's a bloody narcissist.
Yeah. Anyway,
and she projects all her bullshit onto others.
Anyway, let's not talk about that too much. Let's get back to her wonderful theoretical examples here.
Very disliked trope for several reasons. For one thing, you'll be hard-pressed to find a heroic death trope that people like. Heroic sacrifice...
Why? What's wrong with heroic death? It's fantastic. Oh, you remember that scene in Last Jedi when Finn was about to sacrifice himself? Like, oh my god, he's figured it out. What he wants to do with his life. He wants to save people. He's going to do that. It's a dumb idea.
I was about to feel something during that scene, and then it all went for nothing.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, it just...
all gone.
So it's like, we want
Asians can't drive.
We want heroes. We want people to sacrifice themselves for the greater good or whatever they think is right. That's what stories with heroes are like. They're the good guy. They believe in something bigger than themselves. And I don't see why. Again, at this point, she has to give examples of movies that did this she didn't like and why. Because I'm sure they're out there. I'm sure there's all kinds of heroic sacrifices. Like, yeah, that's kind of lame. But
is she going to give us legitimate examples?
She should. Can't be that hard if she hates it so much and there's so many problems with it. Like, okay, let's go. But man, it shouldn't be hard for her to do that. And plus she's using TV tropes, so she could just go to the frickin' site and find like 20 of them in like one genre or at least one format, like a movie. Anyway.
They're basically the only one that's even halfway appreciated, since for the most part, killing a character is gonna feel bad. But more importantly, fridging lacks the counterbalancing qualities that can make a character death feel satisfying or earned. A hero might die gallantly defending their loved ones, which is heartwarmingly heroic with an element of free will and choice.
Okay, wait. So she showed the scene from Lord of the Rings, which we all agree was a great death. Great sacrifice.
Excellent scene.
Yeah. So why did she say it?
I think she's saying that this is good as opposed to what fridging does. I think that's the point of what she's saying here.
Okay.
So, like, she's saying that like fridging is more like a forceful act from the writer to like push in like some element of drama there, so like the main character would care more about it. But what justifies that?
I think she's saying that these deaths come from a choice of the character, while fridging is taking away the choice of the character.
I guess.
I don't know. I'm thinking of an example of, there's a Poirot story where the villain, this is after Poirot figures everything out. There was a villain and an accomplice, and right before they send them off to go stand trial or whatever, the police, the accomplice has a second gun and they kill the villain as well as themselves. So it's a murder-suicide. And it's like, oh, shit, that came out of nowhere. But then it's like, how did she have a second gun? And Poirot's like, there was a slight chance, but I never thought she would go through with it. So Poirot knew of that possibility. He just didn't think it was because they were already resigned themselves to being caught. So they just decided they didn't want to go through the trial and being hung and all that crap. So they just ended themselves. And at the end, Poirot's like, well, it's all clean. It all tidied itself up rather quickly. That's an example of, oh, we didn't get to see the rest of what happened, but that's not what a murder mystery is. The murder mystery has been solved. At that point, the story is over. We don't care what happens at the end or with the, 20 years later, this is what, like, we don't need that. The denouement's done. So to have that is just a neat little way of tidying up things that you didn't even have to do. The Agatha Christie didn't have to do that. So to have that is just her little being creative flourish at the end. But a woman still dies, and a woman still is involved in a murder and a suicide. So I still wouldn't call that fridging. It's still tragic, but at that point they're already murderers, so they are the bad guys. It's a strange, like, there's so much context to killing and death and murder and the value of that, and to reduce it to like, oh, we didn't know this tertiary character. It's like, you're not supposed to. That's not the point. They are motivation. That's, motivation's great. I think if it's external or internal, it doesn't matter. So long as it gets the story going for a good reason and everyone can understand it and it makes sense, great. But if it's comical or farcical, then that's the point. Then it's no longer an issue. Anyway.
Fully at peace with their fate, making their death a natural conclusion. Some other caveat that makes the audience believe that their death works to end their personal arc. And if their death is tragic and unfair, it'll often be tortuously prolonged to really drive home to the audience that, yeah, sorry, it's not a fluke or a fake out, the character isn't making it through this one. For a classic Fullmetal Alchemist example, spoiler alert, Maze Hughes, professional funny man and sweetheart, is unexpectedly killed fairly early in the series because he figured out the overarching plot way too early, so the villains needed him out of the way. His death serves as a major motivation for most of the heroes, most notably Roy Mustang, but it's not just a token heroic motivator to get the protagonists in gear. It feels awful.
He's not.
It's tragic. It's unfair.
What did she say? It feels off?
She's just random bullshit.
She said it feels awful.
In general, I think Red is just.
I don't think she means quality wise.
Yeah, but I think she's just rambling on in a scatterbrained manner about bringing up random things now. May's death is not it is not simply an inspiration for everyone to move forward, to get more active. They were active already. His death doesn't spur them on more than his revelation to them would have been. What it does is that they want to find out what he knew.
Yeah.
How he died, who killed him, why. So this is just all it does is it prolongs the time that the good guys take to figure out what Mace had already figured out. That's all it does. They're not any more or less motivated. They may be more pissed, but the motivation, I think, is the same.
Yeah,
they're still fighting a war.
Also, I mean, it does give Roy his moment at the end of the series when he gets to fight Envy and finds out he was the one who killed Hughes.
Yeah, well, this isn't an argument. This isn't an. It's not an argument for Red. It's she's bringing up something that doesn't support her argument. She's just changing the context.
This feels like a video where she shouldn't have baited a trope talk. She should have just said a video about character death in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is not the inciting incident for the story.
Yeah,
I don't.
It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, this is a nonsensical example. Is either Red has something weird going on in her head that she interprets into this that isn't there.
Again, this is.
Or she's just fishing, for example, so hard that she's going for something like this.
This is the equivalent scene in like a murder mystery where like a character sees the murderer with the murder weapon and they're like, "Oh no," and they try to run away, but the murderer saw them.
All right. Let's keep going.
Out of the way. His death serves as a major motivation for most of the heroes, most notably Roy Mustang. But it's not just a token heroic motivator to get the protagonists in gear. It feels awful. It's tragic, it's unfair, he fights very hard to stop it from happening, his wife and daughter are devastated, and the ramifications are felt all the way up to the finale. This death would not work the same if it happened off screen, and it could not be replaced by a binder of poker.
Yes, it could. If we don't see him struggle and fight, it would still be like, oh my god, Roy just, or Hughes just died. We don't need to see the blade enter his skull or whatever.
I mean, we could have literally just saw him at the phone booth and then skipped right to the funeral, and it would still be the same.
Yeah, because it would even have maybe a bigger impact because we have no idea how he actually died. Because and
something
like,
you can.
if you don't uncover like anything like who did it and like how did it and like when did it, it's.
I mean, the only thing his death scene really adds is, one, it shows that he was smart enough to be able to tell that Envy was pretending to be somebody by a small characteristic, which was a mole.
And
it shows that he's pretty skilled because he nearly does survive, but
yeah, it shows
Envy turning into his wife stops him.
Yeah, it shows how bad and strong the villains are. It's like you want to show they're evil creatures that are super powerful, and you're like, oh, okay, good.
Yeah, and it shows there are stakes because a good character that is established and that is liked by the audience can die.
Honestly, in the manga and in Brotherhood, we don't really see Hughes do a lot of things. In 2003, the only scene that we have where Hughes is actually doing something that is action-like is the train robbery scene, which is completely original to the 2003 series.
And I believe Hughes is not an alchemist; he's just a dude, info dude. What is he?
Yeah, he works like he's a radio operator, I think.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So he's a soldier, but
and he uses those push daggers.
Yeah,
that he
punching daggers.
No,
yeah.
His death scene you could also do with the classic, or in Red's case, tropey way of having him on the telephone. And then on the other end of the telephone, you just hear a sudden action, a scream, and then silence. And then you do not cut back to the phone booth where you see him in blood. So it's that would leave it ambiguous what happened to him for a while, until you then later in the episode reveal what happened, and you end up with the gravestone again.
And again,
that would still be off screen.
Another thing his death does is actually help Fury hide his identity, because when he's there, you see that his hands are shaking on the sword, so you can't really. So you're like, oh, so he clearly shows emotion, so he's not one of the homunculi, because they're not really emotional at all. But you find out later his hands were shaking because he was angry at Hughes' daughter crying and making a scene.
All right.
On cards. It means too much to the story, so it's not. Characters do not get this kind of treatment, and frankly, they're lucky if they get personal arcs at all. They die only to make another, more important character feel sad or mad. It's not a heroic sacrifice, they have no agency in it, they're not at peace with it, and their personal arcs, if they get them, aren't neatly resolved in time for it. Their death.
So Hughes wasn't resolved. He had a family. He wanted to protect them. He wanted to figure out what was going on, and he couldn't. He got close to the truth, and he got caught.
Hughes was supposed to be at Mustang's side when he became Fuhrer. That was like literally the thing that they talked about when they became friends, was that he'd be by his side until he got to the top.
This is getting silly.
Brutalization is cruel and unfair because it's designed unfair to the character they're supposed to hurt or motivate.
Hughes was brutally murdered and unfair. He had no match against a homunculus. So
yep, it's a demigod, if you will.
Yeah.
But as a result, it undercuts the only semi-okay parts and just makes the experience relentlessly unpleasant and catharsis-free for the audience.
No! What catharsis-free? What the fuck are you talking about, you idiot? I hate people who use these terms. They don't know what the freaking hell they're talking. Catharsis-free. Like, it's a drama light. It's comedy ha-ha, not hee-hee. You know, it's like, what the hell are you talking about? Catharsis-free.
Yeah, I remember how much catharsis I got when Judo didn't get to tell Casca anything. He just got, his last words were, you know you cry a lot, and then he died.
This is
yeah, like the Berserk should have just paused for 10 minutes and like, oh, Judo, we will miss you, buddy. Let's have all the flashbacks of you.
Yeah, even...
And it was heavily implied that Judo was in love with Casca.
Yeah, throughout the series.
Even
if you listen.
Even if you don't like these characters, you realize what they're thinking and feeling, like love or having a family and losing all that because he can't take care of his daughter anymore. Like all kinds of things. Like yeah, he's a father. He has friends. He has a life. We don't have to like the guy, but we have to understand, oh yeah, he has these things he's losing as a result of death. So I don't, even with the woman in the fridge, she has a life. She's either married or in a relationship. They love each other. It's tragic. We're not going, duh, woman, who cares? We're going, oh shit, that's not good. Who the hell did that? That's freaking retarded. That's nefarious. To put someone in a fridge after you kill them. What kind of psycho would do that? And then we find out soon after with the Green Lantern. So, where is she getting this?
Again, fridging wouldn't work if the audience didn't care. The whole point is that you care.
If you think an attractive woman's death in a comic books, it's pulpy and it's kind of up in the air. It's kind of not real because comic book characters usually come back either way. So you're getting into a comic book partially just for the shock value anyway, for the awesome panel spread of Superman flying or breaking through a wall. Like that's kind of the impact of the visual medium for a comic book at least. So you want to see stuff like that reasonably within the comics code, so you can't show like nudity and sex and too much violence. You can show some violence, obviously, but you can't show like bodies being impaled and being torn apart and all their guts hanging out. You can't do too much. So the comic books writers try to do the best they can within those boundaries, and showing, you know, parts of a body in a fridge or even the full body is as close as we can go. We're going for that gruesome shock value sometimes. So I see nothing.
I mean, in Dragon Ball Z, the fight with Raditz, Goku kind of got a side character death.
Oh, really?
When he holds Raditz in place so that Piccolo can use the Super Beam cannon to kill him.
Yes.
And Goku doesn't let go in time, and he dies.
Oh, jeez. All right, here's...
I mean, to be fair, Piccolo kind of wanted that in the first place.
No. Well...
Remember, this was during the point in Dragon Ball Z where he was still kind of evil, but he was still willing to work with Goku if it meant he could further his own goals.
Yeah, yeah. Goku also didn't want to let go because he wanted to make sure that Raditz gets hit.
And that
because
was
they didn't have another shot for so much energy buildup.
Which was also a net positive for Piccolo at that point in the series.
Mm-hmm. All right. Here's White Knight Leo. Thanks for the 5. Making sweeping statements without evidence, $0. Repeatedly contradicting yourself, priceless. Some things money can't buy. For everything else, use SJWs. I'd rather not. I'd rather not think that way at all, in fact. Okay. I don't even know if Red is an SJW. I just think she's dumb. She just doesn't grasp what she's talking about.
Oh, she believes in a lot of the SJW crap. If anything, she's a useful idiot.
I know, but I don't see that in this video. I just see her not understanding what she's talking about.
Yeah, in this video, she's just a plain old idiot like the rest of them.
Yes.
Fridging is intentionally narratively unsatisfying. Okay. Again, context. Who, what, where, when.
And do you have some actual examples of this and not just this one bad comic book?
Well, she gave the example of was it Brotherhood or just the original Full Metal Alchemist?
It was
Brotherhood.
Brotherhood.
That wasn't a valid example. We
Yeah, I
went
know.
over that.
That's the
That
one.
was an example of Frigid.
Boromir isn't a valid example of this either.
Yeah.
I think like last video she mentioned was like
Her examples so far have been
Infinity War. Like,
Gamora and Black Widow aren't valid examples of this either.
Well, yeah, of course, but like Red claims them to be.
Yeah, but it's because she's stupid.
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
This is not a mistake. This is an intentional part of the trope, because it essentially sets up an unstable narrative situation the protagonist must now work to...
Not unstable. What the hell is an unstable narrative situation? The only thing I can think of is like the narrative is so broken that you're beginning to not believe in it. Like there could be jumps in time, like forward and backwards so many times. You're like, what the freaking hell is going on anymore?
Or maybe she means that it's so open to what could happen next right now.
That's not unstable, though.
You can't imagine.
That's not unstable.
I mean,
I know, but she does not know what words mean.
I don't really...
Well, we have established that in the first
The idea
one.
behind this, that's not supposed to be that it's satisfying anyway, because it's not the end of the story. It's usually in the middle of it, or near the beginning.
I don't think the death of Hughes is an unstable narrative, whatever the hell that means.
And Hughes was an example that she thought was good, not a bad one.
Yeah. Ugh. Anyway.
Stabilize and resolve, usually by hunting down and stopping the... This is a motivation that starts an arc, so it's not meant to feel like an arc resolution, which is often the only part of a character death the audience halfway appreciates. But it betrays a fundamental dismissal of the Fridge character, which undercuts the very emotional impact they're trying to invoke.
No, it doesn't. Why would you say that?
Not all characters need arcs.
Why do we need to have the third party or whatever girlfriend of Green Lantern have to have all this background behind her? Why? What does that give us? It gives us all this information on a character that's going to die at the end, which is nice if your one comic run is just to talk about this relationship with the Green Lantern and his lifestyle, and then boom, she dies at the end. Oh, that would be a punch. But
no, in the middle of every Green Lantern comic, we need to have a slice of life episode about his wife.
Yeah, every woman that pops into the story, we have to pause and just have this 4-part miniseries just about her going about her day.
Mm-hmm. In the future, can we have somehow magically have red videos without the music?
This music especially pisses me off because it's one of those royalty-free music that everyone uses at the time.
It's that Kevin MacLeod.
Yes.
My Disney brain keeps latching onto it, and I have a hard time concentrating on her. On what she's saying.
I think like she deliberately uses that so like people don't focus on like this batshit insane script.
I don't know what it's like for normal people. My brain just latches onto, here's a repetitive pattern, and then it stares at the repetitive pattern, and this is a musical repetitive pattern.
Maybe her video.
I have to force myself away from it to hear what she's saying.
It sounds like the theme for Kippur Gabora and Ocarina of Time for me. I don't know why.
Well,
it's similar, yeah.
I have to start brainstorming what the hell unstable narrative is. It's like, what the fuck?
Helen Moore stories.
It's radioactive. It's not stabilizing. It can't make an own isotope. It's stable. Oh my god.
I'll get some tiramisu.
Yeah. All right. Let's go.
Example, when Alan Moore wrote The Killing Joke, Barbara Gordon, aka Batgirl, is shot, paralyzed, and brutalized by the Joker entirely to upset Jim Gordon and Batman and kick off one last terrible joke. She's not even killed, but how this traumatic event affects her is entirely glossed over in story.
No,
it's not. It paralyzed her. It ends her fucking career.
Yeah, it ended her career as Batgirl. At the end of the day, it made her, in my opinion, an even better character as Oracle.
Mm-hmm.
Case in point.
This is at this point like she's really pissed off if anything happens to a female character.
So yeah.
So wait, she used Tim Drake, right? The one that becomes Red Hood. Is that Tim Drake?
No, that's Jason.
Jason Todd. She used Jason Todd as a good example, and pretty much the same exact thing happens to him. The Joker kidnaps him, beats him with a crowbar, blows him up. We don't really see much of a resolution to that until he gets revived in the Lazarus pit.
Well, he mainly got killed off because people were so pissed off at him as Robin that they demanded it. I think it was literally a poll. Do we kill Jason Todd or not?
I heard that a guy hacked that poll and sent in multiple votes.
So
he didn't like him. So it might have actually just been one guy who just really didn't like him.
I wouldn't. That's a bit of a stretch for me, especially back in the day. But I mean, they brought him back better.
I want to know if
the Red Hood is just that much better.
If she would like it worse if Barbara Gordon died, because she's talking about death and this. Like, she doesn't die. She ends up becoming a better or a different character. So this is a motivation for a woman to change, and it does change her.
Yeah, to overcome and
again,
to get
I wonder
stronger.
if she would even be. I wonder if she would even be bringing it up if it was a Robin that it happened to.
Again, it made an already good character even better at the end of the day.
Yeah, and this is a really positive thing. This is a very heroic thing, because it could have just as well been that the result of this fate would have been a life of torment, because there are things worse than death.
And it shows that regardless of her lack of being able to walk anymore, she still wants to fight crime, and she does it in her own way.
Now that I think about it, I do remember that she brought up that a fate worse than death was one of the fates that these people got.
Yeah,
so
and then, like I said in part 1 of this stream, then Gail Simone came in and reversed the whole thing. Funny how that works, huh?
I've been drinking bone healing juice. My spine's all good now.
Oh shit!
How do you cripple
I think it was like a cybernetic implant or something.
Oh,
wait, she really did this? Gail Simone really wrote out the disability?
Yes, I think it was like a cybernetic implant that...
this bloody hack!
The disabled people no longer have representation. Oh, wow.
Remember, like, Gail Simone was the one who bullied off a male artist off from Batgirl. I think like one of those comics, because it wasn't a woman. Because like she wanted only women working on those comics.
Wasn't that Frank Miller?
No, because it was like a lesser known artist, but someone else. I know that after that, like, the person quit.
You can have a change like that make sense in universe. Doesn't mean it's good.
There's no way that Gail Simone had like that kind of power that like bullied off Frank Miller. No way.
Frank Miller. He wouldn't give a shit.
I can imagine that she did bully off a guy, especially if that guy was maybe autistic. And it is easily believable by how we see her act on Twitter and elsewhere. These guys, these feminists, they are not the good guys, and they don't stand up for the little guy. They don't stand up for the oppressed or disenfranchised. They are the bullies. They're always aware. They're just pretending to be the good guys so that we let them keep doing their bullshit.
Just look up the word Whisper Network. It's all about like shenanigans on how to ruin artists. in the instance.
She can't bully him off anything. She did call him a misogynist though.
Oh, of course.
Oh, such a powerful word. It's lost its meaning now. Thanks.
Write an enjoyable comic, you hack.
What? That's beyond her capabilities. Don't ask things of her that she can't do. You have way too high expectations of her. That's patriarchal.
It's kind of like asking an obese woman to lose weight. Yeah. Well, it's quite literal here.
Yeah, but they can't do that. Come on. What are you talking about?
One can hope. Batman afterwards from her hospital bed is how about what the Joker's going to do to her dad. It's heroic of her to be concerned, but that's not why her reaction was written that way. Barbara didn't matter to this story. Alan Moore has actually said he kind of regrets treating her that way. He thinks his editor probably should have reined him in instead of responding with, and I am apparently quoting, "Yeah, okay, cripple the bitch." That fundamental dismissiveness on the part of the
No, I don't care. I don't care what he wanted.
Oh my god. Yeah, I don't really give a shit.
Yeah, and then him and two other people decided to turn her into Oracle. Big whoop.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't really care if a writer regrets their past work if it's good.
When did that interview even happen? Like 20 years after the comic book? Because like Alan Moore post DC is like a totally different person than the one that was writing.
Never forget All-Star Batman and Robin, and that shit sucked.
Yeah.
All right.
Creator really does drive home that fridging is a fundamentally trope. If the author
fundamentally what? Let me just rewind that.
Yeah, fundamentally trope.
Thinks his editor probably should have reined him in instead of responding with, apparently quoting, "Yeah, okay, cripple the bitch." That fundamental dismissiveness on the part of the creator really does drive home that fridging is a fundamentally broken trope. If the author
Okay, so it's bad and it's broken.
But wait, in her example, it wasn't the writer being dismissive, it was the publisher. So she's not even right on that.
It's not.
Just talking about Barbara in general doesn't count for any of this because she didn't die.
I don't like love interest in a comic book, said publisher. It's like, what? So? Does that mean the love interest in the comic is bad somehow? Or the romance?
Also,
Ego Dreamer summarizes it well, saying, Alan Moore hates everything. What is new here?
Yeah, that's true.
Exactly. Like, why are we taking an opinion of this guy?
Also, Barbara didn't die, so this entire segment is pointless.
Yeah,
it's how fridging.
It's not even the fridging example.
It's just cooling. Yeah, she didn't even die. So what's the point?
Because women suffer.
At the beginning, it counts if it's a fate worse than death moment. So
maybe if she brought up Jason instead of
if already this is fridging, then we're then in 5 minutes, Red is gonna tell us that a woman stubbing her little toe is fridging.
Exactly. She didn't die, therefore it doesn't even come close to fridging. Moving on.
Yes.
Character enough to give their pain narrative weight, they'll have a very in the audience to care when they suffer. The only way the author can make the audience care in this situation is by making this unimportant death hurt another more important.
She didn't die.
She didn't die, and that moment was important. Fuck you.
Character. But since the author doesn't care about the fridged character, I'm writing the more important character's reaction to their fridging. The more important character cares more about the fridged character than the author does, so how is the author supposed to write their grief when they clearly can't even imagine it? It comes across as shallow and hollow because on a very real...
Oh, you bitch.
This is dumb. She's comparing this...
yeah, you might not care about the character, but you can still empathize with the feeling of
We're trying to compare the reaction of the protagonist or whatever to the death of X to the audience's reaction to the death of X or something. Like, are you out of your damn mind? Yeah. Like, what are you doing now, Red?
I don't.
Red does not know how to human.
Are we trying to evaluate audience reaction and emotion and retention and all these other variables to the same thing in a fictional character. This is so weird. Like, what do you want us to think? What does a fictional character
You
think?
can't hurt women. That's what you're supposed to think. You're not supposed to hurt them. They're supposed to be strong, independent characters that can hold themselves, and they don't need a man, right?
She incorrectly tried to figure out what happened to Barbara Gordon in that story with the wrong pattern or the wrong trope, and says it wasn't meaningful.
Sometimes a side character's death kind of sucks and is really underwhelming because you don't really care. Like, for example, and what was that game by the French guy who likes to make movie games? Heavy Rain. Like, the Jason death in Heavy Rain. Like, not only is the scene unintentionally funny, you don't care about Jason.
It's off screen.
You don't care about the protagonist because you've only been with him for like 10 minutes.
It's off screen. It's off screen, even though the character's all right there. They don't even show it.
Heavy Rain.
Jason.
So is that fridging then, or?
It would be by her definition. The only thing is that the character's not a woman, so she doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, she doesn't give a shit about it like a 5-year-old boy. Sure.
Red, you say you're an asexual woman. Why are you more worth than anyone else? You're not going to reproduce anyway.
Indeed.
And that too.
So why do you care about it being women? You apparently have no interest in anything that makes a woman relevant to be a woman. Yeah, why are women so important and above everything for you, and men don't matter?
Again, this just feels like if a character is a background character and they're a woman, it means that the writer is sexist, and it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, because it's pure projection on her part. She is the sexist one.
So,
do we care about kids? Do we care about old people? Do we care about animals? What?
I think.
How far does this go?
I think we can connect the death of the no-name female love interest with the lifestyle of the actual main protagonist. You could say that their dreams and desires were relatively the same, since they were.
And I mean, again, just like you guys talked about in the last video with John Wick, we barely knew John Wick's wife and the puppy, but we knew what they meant to him.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And it's very easy to empathize with it because we see how horrible it is.
Yeah, how much more exposition do we need? We could have spent another 20 minutes or another 10 minutes, so a 20-minute intro to John Wick, and learning about all the things they wanted to do together that they were going to share, and then she got sick and died. And be like, oh, that's even more like, holy shit, there's all these reasons why John loves her, but we don't need all that more information. We don't need like the extra 10 minutes of she liked dogs and she really wanted a puppy and she never got one because she was allergic, or like all these ironic twists. Like we don't need that.
And like you guys said, it didn't even have to be the dog. It could have been the cell phone that all the videos were stored on.
Right. It could have been anything. And it doesn't matter what the object of the affection is or the memento or all these elements. So long as the audience goes, okay, this is a loved character. She's dying. Her death represents this. Her life she wishes her husband well as she's dying.
I would say it doesn't even have to be connected to a dead person. It just has to be something that means something. We can all empathize with losing something that means something to us.
Right. And it just it works very cleanly and simply because a death, everyone's, oh yeah, we have deaths in the family. Everyone has gone to a funeral. This is inevitable. Sometimes it's old age, sometimes it's cancer. It's all kinds of reasons. We all can relate and go, okay.
It's because we are mentally old enough to translate the loss in one category to the loss of someone else in another category.
Right. We're not 4 years old.
Yeah, we understand that it is
I've got
loss.
a box around here. One of the things in it I don't really use anymore. It's an old pillow, and my grandmother sewed it. I don't use it anymore, but I haven't gotten rid of it because it still means something to me.
Yeah. The only thing I have left from my grandmother is a kitchen knife.
And
I'm still using it. I'm not going to get rid of it.
I got from them is a Nintendo 64 that probably doesn't even work anymore.
Oh.
Alrighty. 14 minutes, 20 seconds. Apparently we only have 3 minutes left, but you know, we'll see how far she goes with this. I just don't. I think she's lost the plot a long time ago, and she's trying to connect the dots with whatever she's got, and I'm just sitting here laughing at this bizarre relation she's creating. Hope streams.
We'll see how much.
It doesn't. It's just so like. What are you trying to point to that makes any sense?
I think she's just upset about certain deaths. She wanted to complain about them. She found a trope that sounded right. She made the video, and she's just pouring out her feelings about these specific deaths she didn't like.
And then talked about a moment that literally is not a death.
Okay.
A fridging isn't just lacking in resolution, it's lacking in real emotional weight. We're lucky if we really know the character who died.
It's real emotional weight. It's not actual emotional weight or believable or truthful. It's real emotional weight. Okay. Thanks.
I mean, again, we spent like 10 minutes with John Wick's dog. Not even 10 minutes. Probably more like 5. We still felt that weight when it happened.
And even then, even if we just entered the theater at that point and we saw that guy shoot the dog, you're like, oh shit, you don't do that to dogs.
If the movie started with him lying on the floor with his dead dog in front of his face, we still would have got it.
Guys, it wasn't on screen, so how am I supposed to care?
Well, if you see a dead animal that's adorable, that got shot, you're like, okay, whoever
yeah,
did
but
that,
we didn't see him.
Was it the female?
Was it a female dog?
But because like my investment depends on that.
Oh god.
It was a male dog, actually, wasn't it?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's why she doesn't make sense.
No wonder she didn't care about that.
That's why she doesn't mention that example.
Too bad it wasn't like a parakeet or something, like a bird or some kind of like exotic animal.
Well, I think like I heard it on Morning Nonsense from Aldi or maybe Bad Boy Bear, but like what if it was, instead of the dog, it was the phone that they destroyed, because John Wick had the videos of the wife on the phone. So
I still think we would have felt something. We still would have gotten a very similar kind of. We would still would have gotten the same feeling from it.
It would have been an amazing product placement.
If for some reason he didn't have any safety copies, there would have been a figurative death of his wife after she's already physically dead. Yeah, because all the memories are
destroyed. And then they could sell
a scene where he's tied to the chair and he explains all of that basically.
Right, but then they could sell.
He said it's not about the dog; it's about they killed his chance to grieve.
But then if we're doing product placement, they could sell the cloud platform, like for Google or Mac. Like, your memories are back, John Wick. It's okay. I didn't know that.
That shit didn't exist back then.
Welcome
back. Watch John Wick on the Windows 10, 40, 50, 60, 80, whatever model they got.
He's on Office 365.
The movie just ends with him going to fucking his cell phone provider and re-downloading it in the video onto another phone.
Oh shit!
I guess I don't have to go to a murderous rage.
John Wick.
Vigo's the one who drove him there.
Everything's
I would love if it was the phone, because eventually he would have to cut off his finger in the third movie, and just because he didn't get the phone or whatever.
The fuck?
No, the phone.
No, the fuck.
All right. Anyway.
Then killing them only affects us by how it affects the characters who care about them, and only if we care about those characters in turn. Killing off a character we're not invested in tells us that character was never going to matter on their own merit, which can.
I mean, it happens all the time. Characters that we don't really know very well, but the main character knows, dies, and we still feel something because we feel something from the protagonist's feelings.
Yep.
The story is usually focused on the protagonist.
Like with Luke's aunt and uncle.
Yeah,
we didn't really know them.
We can't.
We understand the story through the character that we're focusing on. That's our like way to communicate with the thing that he's watching.
This just feels like Red doesn't get that the main character cares about this character.
It also looks like she doesn't understand the fundamentals of entertainment. Like,
no,
she doesn't understand empathy.
It seems that
naturally, of course, but yeah.
It seems like she's the type of audience that has to have everything spelled out on the screen for her.
Wouldn't she like complain that it's just like handing out too much for the audience?
Well, then what do you want, Red?
What do you want?
Red, Red, make the movie or video game or book that you want to see in the world.
Just no one dies. Story about no deaths ever. Nothing happens.
No deaths.
No tragedy.
It happens off screen.
No loss. No one gets sad. No one cries. Just everyone just goes happily into the sunset.
And there's no main character because everyone's the main character, right?
I just want like a video that's like an amalgamation of like all the trope videos that she has done, and like every single trope is happening in it, and every single time it's a fourth wall break.
So you have to have no scary scenes because just like Lovecraft, it has to be all these multicultural people. They can't have no white men, all black or Asian women, I guess.
Everyone's trans.
Everyone's trans or non-sexual. They're all just happy the way they are. There's no emotion of lust or longing. It's just sort of we like each other all the same. No conflict between people. Just they're all happy together. It's retarded. It'd be boring as hell.
It sounds like the heat death of the universe.
Everything's the same.
Why does she even watch movies then?
To make money.
I can't fathom.
To make money on her YouTube channel. There's no other reason. She's passionate.
It's so weird how
Red, could it be that you're not asexual, but that you're anhedonic and you just can't enjoy anything?
Most mythology stories are filled with this stuff too.
I like to shit on everything.
All right. Well, we're almost done, so this is the last 2 minutes, or 3 minutes, rather.
The audience from the story as a whole. So opening a story by sends a pretty clear message to the audience that most characters don't matter, which speedruns the disengaged audience problem
no,
right
it doesn't.
Out of the gate. Fun fact,
no, it doesn't.
This is how Supernatural begins. I tried
don't
watching
care.
it way back when, but lost interest after the first season or so.
Oh
but
god, why are we going?
Supernatural is a hokey show that's went on too long about a bunch of stupid bullshit.
She's saying Mary
soap
Winchester
opera.
It's a soap opera with supernatural settings. That's pretty much all it is. It's dumb.
By the way,
it's fun.
Mary comes back in like the 7th season.
Yeah, no, it's one of those
7 seasons
tacky, goofy American shows about Judeo-Christian mythology and demons and angels and all this shit. It's fun.
There's also the part where they go back in time and meet her when she's young before she meets John.
There are some great fun scenes. I'll admit they do lots of great work and there's a lot of passion in the show. But it's just like Smallville. You know it's dumb, but it's fun to watch for what it is. But
I think the first 5 seasons are actually like good quality, but after that it's just fun.
Yeah,
is it as good as Buffy?
Oh god. I would say Buffy's a bit more controlled than Supernatural.
Oh god, and I never want to watch this.
I know.
Buffy's a mess.
I know.
An absolute nonsensical, inconsistent mess.
Well, Supernatural has God and the devil and all this other bullshit. You're just like, oh.
Supernatural is solid for the first 5 seasons. That's all I'll say.
Who plays God in Supernatural?
Chuck. His name's Chuck.
Yeah.
I can't remember the actor's name.
Yeah.
Chuck Norris?
No, he's an author. He pretends to be a prophet for a while.
There's a lot of little fun, little clever things that were thought out well, and there's just absolute stupid bullshit. So it's fun. The whole point of the show is to be fun and goofy and have some serious moments, have some dramatic moments. It's a story of two brothers who would do anything for each other, and they just go through these crazy times avoiding their fate.
Another thing that
and then the Scooby-Doo crossover.
Yeah.
I would actually say this introduction actually kind of adds is, at first we always assumed that the Winchesters were the hunting family, but it was actually Mary's family, the Campbells, that were. And John was introduced to hunting by Mary.
They were going to do a side story spin-off with the ladies. What were they called? The Angels of Mercy or whatever? I can't remember what they were called.
Well, too bad they missed out.
They never took off. So anyway, it has some good scenes. I will admit they do some really great scenes with death. I thought those were clever.
I mean, I'd say even after season 5, there's some really solid scenes, but
yeah, no, they're good.
Season 5 is where it stops being like an actually good show.
Yeah, it becomes goofy and silly, and you're like, okay, fine, I get it. It's tacky. It's supposed to be that way. Fine. Anyway, 15 minutes. Alrighty.
For the pilot, because it's burned into my brain. Even at the time, tell the writing wasn't working. First scene, we meet our protagonists as young children in an idyllic home with their father and mother. Smash cut to the night, their father wakes up to see his wife stuck to the ceiling with a horrified expression. Then she explodes and the house burns down. Smash cut to the main plot, it's a couple decades later, brother 1 is in college and has a girlfriend, brother 2 shows up and tries to give him a call to adventure to make the actual plot happen. Brother 1 is reluctant because he's got so much going on for him in his personal life right now. Then brother 1's girlfriend gets stuck to the ceiling and explodes, so it's time for a road trip. The first time it happened, it was kinda spooky. The second time it happened, I actually laughed. I looked this up to make sure I was remembering the details right, and apparently in the plot, both of these women were killed specifically because the bad guy had plans for the protagonist, and in the case of the girlfriend, he's the one who introduced them in the first place, specifically so he could manipulate the protagonist by killing her.
What's your point?
I mean, God, that's so funny. That's
the point.
Yeah, Yellow Eyes is trying to cause the apocalypse.
It's a bit,
he needs Dan to do it.
It's also a little something called poetic irony.
This show is not to be taken too seriously. We all sort of grasped that early on.
I laughed too when.
And again, this is a case of Red being mad that women are background characters.
No, I'm just like, I laughed too when Sam's girlfriend died the same way as Mom did. I'm just like, what the fuck? It's like, okay, that just means whoever the villain is just that crazy.
Yeah, does this mean the show is bad because it used the same death of a woman? No.
Well, I guess movie tropes and TV tropes are the same now?
Well, yeah, but what's wrong with having the modus operandi of a murderer the same person? Like, that's perfectly fine.
Again, the poetic irony, his mom died, and then his girlfriend died the same way. What's wrong with that?
And again, that's to make sure you know it's the same demon, they know it's the same demon, so that they can go and have motivation to hunt that demon.
Yeah, and then jump into action from that point on, yeah. And the rest is history.
And like,
that's such a retard.
At this point, demons were like a really big deal to the point where they couldn't kill demons. Of course, by like season 6, it's not really a big deal anymore.
Well, they worked up to it, didn't they?
Yeah,
they earned it.
They get the gun, then they get the knife from Ruby. And then eventually they have angel knives, which can just kill demons whenever.
No, not that, Ruby.
All right.
Pilot. No wonder death is meaningless in this show. So is to have things both ways. It gives us a character who clearly doesn't matter on their own, and then kills them in a way that highlights that they didn't matter to the story by their own merit, but then tries to tell us that their death really, really mattered to the character we're
The audience is not made to mourn. Yeah, exactly. Why would we care about a side character? What's your point?
Again, some characters are side characters.
Yeah, and Sam's girlfriend was used as a foil to reveal, hey, the demon is the same guy, we gotta end this. That's it. No one really bat an eye at that because, yeah, it served the purpose of, yeah, it's the same guy.
Again,
big deal.
This just feeds into the point that Reddit is just mad that females are background characters.
I guess, but I'm glad that characters actually have relevance to a plot. There's lots of these dumb stories where there's so many characters just for exposition purposes or just to annoy someone or just to be pretty. It's like, can we have plot relevance? Hey, guess what? This woman has plot relevance. What do you know?
Not every work of fiction needs to have a huge ensemble cast.
Mm-hmm. No.
Is Uncle Ben drying in Spider-Man fridging?
No, there was a purpose to him dying.
Because Peter cried, so he mourned.
Guess what? Well, if Ben Parker didn't die, Spider-Man wouldn't exist in the first goddamn place. You can't tell me I'm wrong.
At least not the way he does.
Well,
that depends. I mean, are we talking about the Tom Holland or are we talking about Tobey Maguire?
The Raimi ones, but of course in the original comic, he gets the message by him.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. Even as far back as the original comic, if it weren't for Ben dying, Spider-Man wouldn't be a thing.
Well, he'd just be an amazing wrestler.
No, I know.
He'd just be like dominating everyone in wrestling. So.
Yeah, and in the first Sam Raimi movie, it's literally just Macho Man Randy Savage. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Before we get back to the video, that was a great scene. You can't convince me otherwise. Just from Macho Man.
Hey, man of Coach, I see.
Yes.
All right.
And Bruce Campbell's the announcer.
We got 1 minute left.
Bruce Campbell's a gem.
Please let it be sponsorship.
Yes.
To sympathize with. It's like the worst kind of distress. A character in trouble whose only trait we're given to care about is that they're in trouble. It's almost the epitome of tell don't show. If we don't care about the character and they die quickly and unceremoniously, we never have a reason to care. If we do care about the character and they die quickly and unceremoniously, and all we focus on is how bad that makes someone else feel, it feels like a bad use of their potential. And
so, okay, wait a second.
Wait. Is slow what's the word in English?
Slow
motion. The slow motion falling down off the cliff is unceremonious.
Also,
that fall was really long.
On the feelings of someone someone who is now a corpse.
This is
Does she see the ceremony only in the other characters acting out the ceremony?
Yeah, but this implies that the method of dying or the time to death is very important. You're like, wait, why? A bullet. So
like this is considered fridging in her point of view again, but
is every
killing Loki slowly by choking him to death.
Have their ghost walk on screen and be like, "My life was cut off too soon. I am so sad about this."
I'm just wondering, what's the appropriate time to die? Like, how long do you draw it out, or how shortened is it?
Not to mention, talking about this scene. Look at Gamora's face when she dies. Like, you can see the shock and everything that's running through her mind as she dies. It's actually a really good scene.
Because it hits home to her that,
especially with how
Thanos
she says before, you don't love anything, and then he looks at her, and you know exactly what she feels.
Yeah, the thing about the reveal, the shock to her, it's that. Yeah, he did care all along, and it hurt him to do it.
Yeah, and that she always had his approval and love.
She is reaching so hard. She's trying to explain to me that because people don't die with 10 minutes of exposition of whatever, it's bad. But if they die with a bullet or whatever, the opposite.
Since she thinks the Black Widow scene is bad. What about the fact that Black Widow threw herself off and fought Clint to do it?
Yeah, that's
literally the same scene.
It's an even better scene than this one, because those characters we have seen them go through shit for the past 10 years. And again, the wrong scene from the Wolverine movie.
Yeah, let's pick the Bad Wolverine movie to showcase that. Okay.
Great,
yeah,
great example.
Most people don't even like that movie.
Use bad movies to explain tropes. It's like, oh, this is how you shouldn't do it. It's like, really? In a bad film? Okay, that's great.
I know that the fridging is mostly about female characters, but like, is there like any example that she has given that where it's a male character that's unceremoniously died?
No, we don't give a shit about men, Mark. We don't.
Yes.
We only care about the woman.
No
kids, no old people. It's just women. Women in their 30s.
Yeah, stop caring about yourself. Care about the women.
Care about asexual women.
Yeah, asexual women.
Again,
that's where the problem lies.
Just the one segment with Barbara disproves all of this.
That was pretty sad. Yeah.
It was indeed an important moment. It wasn't a background character, and she didn't die.
And also, it doesn't gloss over how it affected her.
Yeah, why do you think? What do you think the whole point of her being Oracle is? Jeez.
But we undid that, so now it's more important.
No.
Well, that's what Gail Simone will probably say.
Well, Gail Simone's a bitch. Moving on.
Yes, thank you.
Makes us aware of the hand of the author, which is never a good thing. Recognize this without really recognizing the problem, and we'll try to play it one of two ways. In one school of thought, the soon-to-be fridged character will suddenly be given an unprecedented amount of on-screen focus and a handful of purposefully heartwarming or cute character traits to quickly get the audience invested in this hitherto non-character so it feels halfway momentous when they die.
Citation,
I like to call
please.
this the Whedon school of fridging, or the Coulson effect. This is the author's attempt to speedrun the getting the audience invested process.
The Coulson effect?
Coulson had an entire fucking TV show of characterization.
They brought him back to life because comic book logic, and they made an entire show out of him. Yeah.
But it's not in continuity as far as they're concerned. Like
Not
when
to mention,
the
Coulson was in basically all of Iron Man, where he was trying to get Tony to join the Avengers.
Yeah.
Which is where they had that running joke about the really long name until they shorten it to S.H.I.E.L.D. at the end of the movie.
I don't see how he's an example of fridging. I really don't.
Well, finally,
because
a male
he was a side
example.
character in the first movie he was in, and that.
Oh, she didn't give an example yet.
No, her example is Phil Coulson from the Avengers.
That's it.
Again, is she unaware of the events that happened before this?
She's aware of
He's
whatever
a side
supports
character
her
in like
cause.
Iron Man 2, I think.
But
and
he
then he shows up here as like in the Avengers as a main character. He's not a side character in this movie.
How is he fridging though? Like he
died for the Battle of New York, didn't he?
Yeah, Nick Fury has this moment of like he believed in the idea of the Avengers coming together, and he died for that idea.
I mean, he did believe in it,
and yeah, and Tony Stark even has this moment of where he blasts Loki in the face or whatever, and he said that's for Phil. Like he remembered his first name.
Because this is about Phil Coulson getting suddenly a lot of screen time in the movie that he dies in. We
avenged his death. Wow. It's like the title is relevant or something.
Yeah, she's calling this the Whedon style of fridging.
The Whedon style.
Anyway.
Process without having to actually make the character stand on their own or like matter. And on the flip side,
wait, why do we need to have Coulson be this Avenger dude? Why can't he just be a guy on the side?
Also, I'd like to point out, suddenly a character gets a lot of time before a moment where they're relevant.
Any character who is likable shouldn't be killed off.
The only bad thing about it is that once you've learned the pattern and you see that suddenly a side character gets a ton of characterization and exposition, it's a sign this character will die soon.
Yeah.
That's the only bad thing about it. So I'd rather not have that and just have the character die. And then maybe have something added as an afterthought of whoever mourns him. of why this guy was important or this girl.
But again, this didn't really happen with Coulson. He was just relevant for the whole movie, and he just happened to die at the end.
I don't even remember this guy's name or who he is.
And then Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I guess we can mark this down as the first male example she's given.
And then his death was undone too. Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Coulson, I mean.
It's the only example in all of film history. Okay.
What about Quicksilver? He died and didn't come back.
No.
He's the guy, though.
Was he fridged?
Oh, was that the Whedon style of how we dismiss characters?
Avengers 2.
Yeah, but he's from like Eastern Europe. Nobody cares about those people.
I don't.
So wait, what about Justice League?
I don't.
Finally, somebody said it.
So
I don't think we should take her subcategories of terms seriously. I don't even know what the hell she's talking about here.
Yeah, now she's bringing up suddenly, totally at peace. Which, I can't really think of any examples off the top of my head.
Remind us, she's talking about something started by Gail Simone, who, as I just said, is a bitch.
It's just weird, given that Whedon's also a hardcore feminist.
So she's complaining about the feminist.
Yeah, but Whedon's a bad feminist because he made a character upset about the fact that she can't get pregnant.
Oh.
Well, he fails at being a male feminist, which is an achievement.
Getting Me Too as a male feminist. That's the ultimate achievement.
Well, no, it's not, because most male feminists are the type of people who get Me Too'd. Because most of them are predators.
Which he did. They accused him of
that's right.
stuff.
He did get Me Too'd. I forgot.
Yeah, he got Me Too'd by
oh god.
By who? Wonder Woman?
No, Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Oh god.
He's also a racist too. He wants Cyborg to say "booyah."
We're almost done. Let's go.
You don't remember?
Booyah.
Will give some kind of token justification for why they're dead, usually along the lines of "I'm at peace now," or "I already have everything I wanted," or "the real treasure was our friendship," or something. This is an attempt to put together a satisfying character resolution so it doesn't feel completely unceremonious, but it suffers from the fact that the fridged character definitely—
What the hell movie is this?
What the?
That looks.
Oh,
that
I've
looks
seen
awesome.
this. This is an awful movie. You don't want to know.
Okay.
Tell you.
Wait, not even the
Mark,
name?
you better tell me. I'm gonna get mad.
I forgot the title. I remember watching it with my dad, like when I was visiting him, and like I was like, "What is this garbage?"
The movie
basically
the movie
like
conveniently erased your memory.
Post-apocalypse, and like the cities have turned into like giant, like moving castles. Almost, They consume garbage.
I think I've heard of this movie. Yeah.
Like
That sounds like
Agent
Cabin
Smith
Area of
is
the
the
Iron
villain in this
Fortress.
movie.
But I know it's not because that's an
Hugo,
anime.
wait, really? Hugo Weaving?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mortal Engines, you got it.
Mortal Engines?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Oh, that was some young adult novel, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I guess.
I've still never heard of this shit.
Every post-apocalyptic
it's just bad, right?
story is almost undoubtedly horrible, except for like a handful of one or two I can think of.
Really?
I
You
mean,
don't say.
Percy Jackson's pretty alright, but other than
Last
that,
of Us 2?
I'm referring to the ones that I like, so you could like your own. But
Well, it sounds like a pretty. It sounds like a pretty chill post-apocalypse. The zombies are barely any threat. They barely show up.
There's a zombie in this. There's a zombie robot.
The food supply is
I'm sure the
solved.
director was a zombie.
Yeah, basically society can go back to normal.
Hang on. We're almost done.
All right.
didn't have an arc leading up to it. It doesn't fully counterbalance that punch of an unceremonious character death because it feels token and disconnected. If the character's arc was really resolved, we probably shouldn't need to hear them say it out loud seconds before they die. It's like how we shouldn't need to hear the characters say I love you to know they're in.
So two people in a movie are fighting that may or may not be related, and one of them kills the other. The other one's a woman, therefore bad. Okay, thanks.
Red, I know you.
That wasn't an example for fridging.
Nah,
Are you serious?
Red, I know you're completely devoid of empathy and human and true human emotion, and therefore do not understand real human beings. But people kind of need to tell each other that they love each other, because not speaking it out can lead to
Not everyone is
disaster.
Han Solo, and you can just say, "I know."
What is love?
Yeah, but
Maybe
someone
don't
needs to start saying it. There can be, when there are two people in love, they both love each other, and they're not ever, and not one of them is ever saying the words to break that wall between them, that paper thin wall. Then that will just fade, or just go elsewhere, or break apart, or be just years of unresolved misery.
After the relationship,
I don't know how to put this into
the end.
words.
That's where all my visual novels end.
No, I mean, I don't know how to put this into words, but someone needs to start saying the words.
Again, this feels like a person whose only experience with human connection is fiction.
You mean Red?
Yeah, this feels like a person whose only connection with human connection is fiction. So, like,
yeah.
Fiction ends where the relationship starts. So you don't really see how those relationships play out when they're actually going.
Yeah, that's why I think she's not even. She says she's romantic, but she's not sexual. I don't think she can be romantic. She's neither. Because to be to have romantic love in some form or another, you need to understand human emotions. So what the hell is she doing? I at this point I want to put her in some lab and study her.
No, Wisp, no.
I would bet most of her.
I just want more examples. She's saying all this stuff, and I'm just like lost. I want better. It's like, this is bad because in this movie this is what happens, and that's not good because nothing da 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 da. You're like, okay, great.
There's better studies out there, like Maggie.
Oh God.
we do not speak of her unless it's Friday.
It's coming
Put her
soon.
in a fish tank.
It's getting there, but
is it this Friday, Maggie?
It is this Friday.
Oh Lord!
What does Dunn have cooked up?
Yeah.
Well, I have a commitment on Friday. I'll be happy to miss Maggie for that.
All right. Okay. All right. Let's finish this off.
You know, I Love You shouldn't be a surprise to the audience, and I'm totes cool with death now. Both just end up feeling like a way to compensate for inadequate writing last minute. You may recall, Black Widow's death in Endgame did both of these things, and it was bad because neither of these writing tricks make up for wasted character potential. Avoiding fridging is a matter of giving the...
Wait, did both of what?
Apparently, Black Widow being at peace, and her getting a lot of characterization suddenly, I guess.
And saying she loves Hawkeye is bad? What?
I don't even... What?
Really?
Again, this isn't her only characterization. She's been characterized throughout the Avengers movies as caring about family.
Iron Man 2.
Captain America, Iron Man, yeah.
Especially Hawkeye, who introduced her to the Avengers. Like... There was a reason a lot of people thought that that Clint and her would be a thing for a while until Clint's family was
until Avengers 2, until literally the next movie to have them.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because they had a lot of on-screen chemistry.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Avengers 2 it gut checked you.
Okay, let's go.
Are we going to read this?
It's about treating them like they really are the hero of their own story and writing their death or...
How... Wait, oh, God. She's giving us rules here. Treat the...
Oh, fucking...
So already if I read these just for the people watching?
Let's get this straight. She wants to treat a secondary or tertiary character like a main character? What? No.
No.
Also, bullshit on that second line there. She doesn't think that we can have beloved secondary characters. As soon as a character is secondary, they're not beloved. At least to her, apparently, from what we've seen throughout this whole video.
Why do you think people care then?
What? Give them a character beyond their relationships with the herd they're attached to.
Hero.
Why? Why is that necessary?
Yeah, exactly. Well, why is it necessary to give every character a lot of characterization?
You give the right characterization, not a lot.
Are secondary characters.
You give the necessary, essential characterization because there's not enough time in the goddamn story to focus on side characters that aren't the point of the story. Remember that lady in Tommy Wiseau's movie? She sells flowers or whatever the hell she sells.
Why wasn't she the main character?
Like, do we need to know about her backstory and her family and why she?
Yes, I want to know about the dog.
Also, point 3, give their death time and weight to have an impact on the characters, not just one scene or a couple of minutes of stoicism.
A couple of minutes of stoicism say a lot.
Where they die in a battle.
Yeah.
Or are we just supposed to, like, someone's dead, everyone take a knee?
Yeah, we now need a flashback of 5 minutes to see the life of this guy.
I need the backstory for all these people, like 16 times the detail.
I'm glad DS9 didn't do something that stupid.
Again.
You guys ever watch that movie with Tom Hardy? It's called Locke. Basically, the whole movie is just him in a car, and he just talks to people on the phone.
There's I don't know if you guys have seen this one. There's an anime called Angel Beats, and one of the first episodes is literally a parody of them doing this, where every character has like this moment where they to shine before they die, because everyone's already dead. They come back to life anyway, but they all have like this one moment where they die epically to save everyone else.
Also, an example
happens one after another.
Well, look at her point 3. Like, just like you, not just one scene. You can't have one scene, guys, no matter how long, or a couple of minutes of stoicism. So I'm assuming she's watching a film and she's talking about the character reciting philosophy
this
or something.
This is the Battle of Wakanda in Avengers Endgame. Somebody dies. Everyone in the battle, just like someone starts screaming, "Time out! Time out!"
Yeah.
If you do what she wants here, your movie, your series, whatever it is, would look like a Scrubs episode.
It would look like a parody.
Yes.
These people dying would be on their deathbed for like 20 minutes talking about their experience and their dreams and all this bullshit. You're like, okay, thank you. We didn't need to know all that.
Red, you want to soapify everything. You want everything to turn into a soap opera. You're insane.
Really
go watch Brazilian TV.
Just talk about all the things they're gonna miss.
Just imagine that third point with Jenkins from Mass Effect 1.
Oh my God, Jenkins! Let's give Jenkins a backstory. Let's give him all his exposition. Let's make him a main character for 2 hours, and then he dies.
It's like no thanks. We're all fine with just his name being on the plaque in 3. That's good enough.
He dies, you have the firefight, and then you go over to him where he's dying, and just have a 2-hour cutscene where he explains his entire past and what he wanted to do. He was 5 days away from retirement.
How about the crazy guy at the beginning of Mass Effect 1 who
Manuel
saw the visions?
Isn't it? Oh, the crazy guy, okay.
The crazy guy at the very beginning of Mass Effect 1.
It's the same mission, yeah.
The same thing happens with Nihilus. You find him and he's alive, but he just got gunned down by Saren. And he has a 2-hour cutscene.
He got bridged.
Talks about his past.
Bridged.
Remember the off-screen and property damage tests? What? When handling the emotional weight. I don't even know what she's talking about anymore.
Okay, hold on. I just realized something. Say what you want about Mass Effect 3. Did Nihilus even get a spot on the plaque in 3?
I don't know.
Kind of a missed opportunity that he didn't.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, but is anyone able to interpret her 4th point here?
No.
Honestly, the only reason I remember Nihilus is because I played through the tutorial so many times.
Probably trying to use the Zack Snyder example.
All right. Well, here's John Doe, the average Joe. Thanks for the one. I remember hearing about a D&D campaign where this one player was obsessed with managing a minor intro town down to its political system at SJW levels. The player held back the campaign, and the DM said, "Time's up," and the Demon King destroyed everything.
Nice.
I think I remember hearing that story too.
Yay!
I think one of those D&D Storytime channels told it, like Crab or something.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we've got half a...
There is... where was it?
What?
Oh, yeah. The chat brought something interesting up. What about Wilson and Castaway?
Oh, God.
Oh,
Please don't.
yeah.
That movie is just like...
I love it. It's so funny.
I couldn't sit through it. I tried. I was like, this is so...
It's great. I love it. It's a lovely
really?
movie.
You can't watch that
Well,
movie?
it's imagine watching a Greek tragedy performed by one guy. It's like, okay, I get why those things exist.
Awesome.
Well, you can't watch Tom Hanks trying to pull out a tooth with a what was it?
Skate.
An ice skating shoe.
Yeah, it was just like, okay. Thanks, Tom Hanks. Hey, you know what? Let's leave the island. Oh, yeah. Great plan. Thanks. You figured it out after how many years?
Is it at least better than No Country for Old Men?
Yes, it is. In fact, yes. You got me there. Yeah.
It's a nice movie. You watch Castaway. It's a nice movie.
It's at least has a plot, but it takes so long to get. Oh God.
It's like
Yeah,
it's almost ASMR.
Sometimes they take way too long.
ASMR.
Where it's good.
Just have a big jug of root beer and a recliner and just drink the entire time.
Real root beer, all right? Not the fake stuff.
I would hope so. Yeah, I don't know what's fake root beer. What the hell are you talking about?
I don't know. Glib was talking about it.
Fake root beer?
I have to know.
I'll ask him about that. As I love root beer and I hate that saccharine flavor.
He just told me it's not real. It's not authentic.
Okay.
I'm like, all right, Glib. I know what you're talking about. So.
Well, there's all kinds of root beer out there, so I'm sure some of it isn't the same. But anyway, let's finish this one off. This is getting so sad.
Brutalization, as if that's where the story actually ends. How more impactful would a fridging be if the story actually acted like an important story was ending with their death? And how many riots would there be if an actually important main character was iced as unceremoniously as these fridging victims are? If Captain America had gone over that cliff with a token little half smile and an I'm...
What?
Again, that happens all the time. Major characters do die suddenly. All the time.
Usually through sacrifice. Just like Black Widow!
I mean, Pippin from Berserk, he has a pretty sudden death too during the eclipse. We see him holding off a couple of demons, and then one comes up behind him, and that happens off screen. He dies.
What about the Departed? Didn't they kill the main character off suddenly?
Yeah, it wasn't like a sacrifice. DiCaprio. He got shot in the face. Burn After Reading, Brad Pitt's character gets shot in the face. Just suddenly, because he was hiding in someone's closet.
Well, this is... Okay, if we're talking about instant things which are bad, we could say any kind of shock value in any story or movie is bad. So, explosions, nudity, sex, like pick anything that has shock value that's shown on the screen for I don't know, 2 seconds. Like, that's the same argument. It's too fast... I didn't have time to process it. There was no emotional connection. I don't know the backstory of why these two people are there. Like, it's just like, what do you want?
It happens. Sometimes it is the right way to kill.
Violence, like gunfights, are immediate. It's quick.
We had like 4 or 5 movies before this. If you didn't watch them, that's your problem.
Anyway.
And I'm at peace now. There would have been fucking riots in the street. I guess this is just another trope that boils down to it's better to write actual characters with agency and personal goals instead of people-shaped plot devices.
No. Okay, again, primary, secondary, tertiary. They exist for a reason. Let them be.
Also, let's not forget that Captain America effectively has ended his character in that movie, even though he didn't die.
And Red, do you know what I don't want to read or watch all the time? Stories that are constantly stopped, halted, so that it can tell me a 20 or 45-minute intermission of some random character that is boring, that I don't need any background to, and just so I know that who it was who died.
This is the kind of issue that people talk about with anime having flashbacks all the time. What exactly do you think this would do?
It's soap writing.
Oh, like
JoJo's,
for example, right? Isn't that the complaint?
She just wants soap writing. It's horrible.
It's not that big of
Don't take writing advice from Red. She doesn't know how writing works. At least good writing.
Yeah, get to the point. Get to the point. Get to the focus of the story. Stop wasting our time.
People shape plot devices.
I hope every character in a story is a plot device, just because I'm really hysterical about plot devices and making plots specific to the story. So yes, I want everything in the story to be a plot device, if I could. I don't care if they're there for 2 seconds. I don't care. I want them all to be relevant. Shouldn't be that hard to not waste my time. But Red, hey, let's have 10 minutes of exposition on a character because
This is
With
one
no
of these
common
weird implementations or in practice.
Yeah, no.
Of making every character equal.
Can you imagine
of bringing equity to stories?
The balance. Yeah, the balance of like the beginning, middle, and end, and just have like this constant beginning where it's everything. Every chapter is a new beginning because it's a new character. And you have to give all this exposition, and you get to like chapter 35, and you're not even done introducing the villain yet because you had to go.
All
the
characters
milkman,
are equal.
The neighbor, the neighbor's dog, the guy at the store, like just constantly expositing everyone. It's just like, dude, this is too much information. What are you doing? I'm going to get tired. It's bad enough, like, if you read one of the Song of Ice and Fire books, to keep track of everyone.
I know. It's just like, does every character need to have, like, a mini-series about them so that we know everything about their lives?
Like, she wants a soap opera of where no one dies, that's so big, like a series of Conan books or something, where no violence happens, or if they do happen, you have to have an entire book dedicated to their death. It's nuts.
When I first read Wheel of Time as a kid, that story has a lot of characters. The main cast is already pretty big. You have the 3 main guys. You have 2 main girls from the same village, and then you have the guardians, a woman and a man, and then and the Glee man. That's now how many? 5, 6, 7, 8. That's just the main group of heroes in the beginning, and then you get more side characters. Oh right, there's a 3rd girl, then there's a 4th girl, all part of the main group. So we're already at 10, and that's just the protagonists. Then we get all the side characters in all the different places, and this is before the politics happen of the different countries, because the group splits up. So it's not just we go to one place and meet the weird people that are where we have a sub story in this part, and then we go to another place where we have the sub story in this part. So we always know who the other side characters are. No, we are in 5 places at the same time because the group split up and was spread out across the entire continent, and that is a bit difficult. That was a bit difficult for me as a kid to keep track of.
I mean, like another...
And that was secondary and tertiary characters that got a little bit of information. If these characters had gotten as much exposition as Red wants, what the fuck is then we wouldn't have 15 Wheel of Time books, we'd have 30.
There's Hero Academia. Most of Class 1A are pretty much main characters, but they usually take their turns in the spotlight. They don't really all have the spotlight at the same time. And then even then, we have important side characters in another class. So that's we already have class 1A. That's like 15 characters, and then we have like 5 characters from class 1B, and that one character from the general studies course with purple hair, and also we've got multiple teachers who are main characters, like Eraserhead and All Might, and that's a pretty big cast to balance.
Mm-hmm.
And the writer does a decent job at it, but not every character has a lot of backstory. Like, even in Class 1A, there's a couple of characters that clearly have a lot less spotlight time than other characters, and people have pointed it out.
Yeah, that's okay. They have character. That is what is relevant. When we find some backstory out about them, if necessary. Otherwise, we learn about them through what they're doing, their likes and dislikes, because it happens through the situations that happen.
I feel like
that can be such a simple thing as not liking a certain food that someone ordered.
People are forgetting that not every work of fiction has to have a bunch of main characters. Sometimes we can have one main character.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's like that kind of storytelling got lost somehow.
All right, well, I guess she's going to keep talking because it's almost past the minute mark.
It's funny how often that happens. So, yeah, Anvil for sponsoring this.
You jinxed it.
Yeah, we're done.
No, it's one of those world building sites.
Yeah, like, don't write your own stories.
Why are you giving her money?
Don't write your own stories, guys. Have some computer algorithm do it for you. That's great.
Yeah.
Well,
why are you giving her money? So many. You're too many people.
So, like, say I want to keep track of the countries that are in my story. I can have the country and have a bunch of information about the country. Link it to the characters that are from that country.
All right.
They're pretty useful tools, actually.
Streaming time.
I think Chad even uses them sometimes.
Nobody cares about that.
All right. Oh, boy. I loved her Greek mythology summaries, not going to lie. Me, Red's videos. Oh, no. SJW bullshit.
I hope they're not as bad as her Celtic mythology talks, because I watched them. They're pretty much all, like, exactly what I said before. This character is a woman, and they were single. Probably didn't want to know it at the time, but this character is definitely a lesbian.
Under the surface. Okay. Hello there.
Wow, she's kind
of... That's not red. Come on. Casca has more brain capacity.
Yeah. Her empty soul. Is this empathy? Oh. I don't even think I'd compare it to a machine. I compare it to like a fangirl who just lost the meaning of like watching Naruto or something. It's like, why is Naruto crying? I don't understand. There's not enough exposition. I'm like, oh, God. Oh, what do these two have in common? Hate and fear.
Everything.
Not a barber. We have an entire generation that took this line as life advice. Call me a killjoy, but I think that because this is not to my taste, no one else should be able to enjoy it. I guess.
Yep.
Oh boy. Father not fridged, mother fridged. Oh boy. That's one way of putting it. The death of Batman's parents.
If only we would have known Martha Wayne's backstory.
If only she was given her own origin story and then she died, I would care about her, I guess.
The birth of the Batman.
Mother fridged, father not. Yeah. Pretty much. It's all it comes down to. Women good, men bad. We need to stop fridging female characters and male characters too, right? And male characters too, right?
Well, I mean, she did talk about Asian Coulson, but
Oh boy. Red's wish for stories. Dead male characters and stories. See if I can read this. Red's wish for stories. Dead male characters. Okay. What is happening?
I don't understand the picture though.
I don't know what I'm looking at. There are a bunch of.
Guess those are.
I see a box with female eyes and maybe a pigtail.
Pigtail, yeah. I don't know. Dead male characters in a story are a box? I don't know.
I think those are just supposed to be representations.
Maybe it's a very preliminary sketch.
Bitch, fridged. Boy, not fridged. Oh. It was a female dog. All right.
Oh no.
After the revolution, all characters are... Oh, boy. Are we watching Slaughterhouse in some Disney flick or something? Maybe not.
Isn't that the movie where everyone uses the clip of the pig saying, "I don't want to die"?
That was October, wasn't it?
I don't know.
Well,
I've just seen the one clip.
If it's Kurt Vonnegut, I'd be impressed, but I highly doubt it. Anyway.
Jeez.
Whew, that was Red, guys, and I think we're gonna take a break tomorrow because we know what's happening Friday.
I am so, but then what is Thursday?
Yeah, it's a good question. We have to have something light and fun for Thursday.
Yeah,
not sure.
Some appetizer.
Tabernacle video?
Oh
no!
No.
Our brain cells to die. Jesus.
My God.
I don't know. We'll ask the administrators for something fun, hopefully.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I didn't think we'd fill so much time with this, with the rest of this video.
That's pretty bad. All right, here's our last super chat. Thank you, Skullgar Thane, for the 10. That's a cool name, Skullgar Thane. I love lore and character, world building and all, but at a certain point, I just want to relax my brain's higher functions and entertain the lizard brain with colorful explosions. That's a good point. There's a limit to how much information you need to understand the setting and where characters are coming from. You don't need everything. So a lizard brain is a good analogy between the balance of logical understanding and association and the need for, let's just go, let's do it, let's get to the point. So we're done, thankfully. Okay, that was only 2 hours. That wasn't too bad.
So to summarize, Red is a bitch, just like Gail Simone.
Red is biased towards women, and her examples about men being fridged are not examples of men being fridged. And even the examples of women being fridged weren't examples of women being fridged. That was bizarre with Barbara Gordon.
But the Barbara Gordon example has literally nothing to do with the argument here.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah, the one example I did like was the Castlevania one, because it was like, oh, that affected multiple characters, and she was a main character, so
welcome to a death that was established in 1997.
Yeah, and plus the animated version did her a lot more justice because it was told as a longer standing miniseries as opposed to just a few scenes in Symphony of the Night.
In the best game of the series.
Which is the best game of the series. No, undoubtedly.
Yes.
Anyway, thanks guys for that one. Apparently EFAP did it longer. Good for them. I don't have the capacity or desire to stay that long listening to this woman. Because good Lord, why? I have better things to do with my life and tastier drinks to consume. So.
Wow, you have a life? How dare you?
Yeah, I know. I got that whole work-sleep balance thing going. So gotta do that. Anyway,
so cooking 10 hours a day to get the food right.
Gotta get the digestion going too. Yeah, can't just sit in your ass all day. So, thank you, folks. Keep the suggestions coming. Hopefully, a fun one for Thursday, so that we could have a nice long Maggie May fish time on Friday. That'd be great. So maybe a cooking one. I don't know. Maybe with that Jack dude. That was kind of weird.
I forgot about Jack. I wanted to post some memes for that one, but
yeah, it turned into just feeling
something else.
sad for Jack as opposed to just being grossed out. So the sadness balanced the ugh sort of feeling of melting cheese in the oven and calling it a pizza. That's the funniest shit I've seen about pizza in my life.
What is with you guys in the food videos? What the hell?
I don't know. Jack's amazing. He's an amazing dude. Just don't ever cook the way he cooks, because you're not going to be a very happy person.
You'll die.
Well, you won't die. You might get sick, but you won't die. It just...
You know what? I think like he can do better stuff with one hand than what he did with two.
Maybe. So. Yeah, I'm not saying melting cheese is bad. But the stuff he buys, like this is the expensive mozzarella. It's like, really? You bought sliced mozzarella? That's expensive? Really?
How much did it cost, though, really?
$20.
Maybe $10-15. I have no idea. Who buys pre-sliced mozzarella and makes it and calls it a pizza? I don't get it, but okay. That's Jack for you. Anyway.
He definitely has an excuse now.
Yes, but that's changing the entire vibe of the video. When you realize that, you go, okay, we're not watching a cooking show. We're watching a handicapped man.
We're watching an idiot
trying to be a chef.
An idiot savage. And
it's kind of sad. So you're like, oh, okay, look at him go. He could do it with one. It took him 10 minutes with one hand. I think I could do it in 5 with one hand, but he's got his problems to fill up.
Yeah, we got some bragging.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, but Smud, you're Canadian. You're not American. That's
Canadians use caker bread. Yeah, there you go. Like pizza. We put loaves
of part Italian, so you get a tomato bonus.
Yeah, waiter. What is it? What's that white bread? Wonder bread and slices of tomatoes. You just throw them in the oven.
Please don't talk about white bread with me. Wonder bread with me.
I know.
Wonder bread.
Anyway, thanks, guys.
There's a certain wall cow that I actually know.
Who does that?
That has to do with Wonder Bread.
Okay. I haven't touched Wonder Bread in a very long time. So anyway. Thank you, guys. Keep the suggestions coming. Hopefully something fun for Thursday, and we'll see you real soon. Have yourself a great evening.